Good morning. It's Saturday, 2 days after Thanksgiving, a small business Saturday. What do these two things to go together? Well, this is the Saturday morning hustle. We're going to talk all about the attitudes of thankfulness or gratitude versus all of the things that go into running a small business, how these two things work together, how to appreciate all positive and negative feedback from the real world that you get when you run a small business, what's necessary to combine these things, manage them, and build a successful small business. So Thanksgiving, Small Business Saturday, they go hand in hand together. So we're going to talk about it on the podcast today. Here we go. Good morning. It's Saturday. I'm in the office. This is the Saturday morning hustle on a small business Saturday, 2 days after Thanksgiving. Thus today, we're going to talk about the attitude of thankfulness or gratitude and what you need as far as an open mind and the ability to manage positive and negative experiences in order to run a successful small business. Every business starts as a small business, might eventually become a very large business or a corporation, but many people have lifetimes of success running small businesses. Either way, the same set of experiences, attitudes, and ability to create systems for management are essential for small and large businesses. So we're going to talk about that today on the podcast. So here we go. The Saturday morning hustle, outworking the competition while they still sleep. Again, Thanksgiving was 2 days ago. Today is Small Business Saturday. These two things absolutely go together because if you're going to run a small business, if you're going to be successful in any way, you definitely need to start with thankfulness or gratitude and understanding how to be grateful or thankful for every experience that happens to you in your professional life. This is positive experiences, obviously, but also, very importantly, negative experience as well. Understanding how to balance these two, how to utilize positive and negative, and understanding how you will receive more negative feedback from the world, negative pushback, more failures, if you will. We've talked about failures on this podcast before. It's not a failure unless you completely quit, but setbacks or challenges or negative outcomes. You're going to hear more no's than yeses. It's not you, it's everyone. That's how the system works. That's how things happen. You have to get it into your head. You have to have the attitude, and you have to actually embrace the negative outcomes because of what it can teach you and what it can build for you. I'm going to expand on all of this on the podcast today. So again, the path to success has many more no's than yeses. But your attitude, your gratitude, your thankfulness for these no's, setbacks, negative outcomes, negative experiences are going to allow you to put together a system, a mechanism, a machine for success. That's called a small business. So you're going to learn more from pushbacks, setbacks, and even unanswered prayers. Shout out to my guy, Garth Brooks, for that one, of course. Setbacks, unanswered prayers, and pushback, all of this negative information or information that was unexpected or different than what you were hoping for as you present a business plan, as you present your product or service to your audience, as you market the product or service, as you are in the sales process. This whole time, every bit of this, what comes back to you when people are positive about what you're doing or negative, teaches you, tells you, informs you how to move forward in a better way. It's not about stopping, failing, starting over. It's about going back to the original idea and refining it with not just an idea, not just attitude, but actual real world feedback about what can and will be successful because you've understood, you've learned things that aren't successful. Like Edison said, he didn't fail 10,000 times before figuring out the combination that worked in a light bulb. He just simply found 10,000 combinations that didn't work. So again, Those negatives, those less than expected, those outcomes that weren't what you were hoping for or intending to, are absolutely the process of how you learn to do things positively and correctly and make the connection with the right audience in the right way so that your small business develops the right audience that you can build sustainable and repeatable business with. This is the key. You don't want one-time success. You want over and over success. So failure is a great learning tool. Setbacks, negative outcomes, less than expected, all of these things are what inform you, and inform you often more precisely and in a better way than the even positive feedbacks, positive reinforcement, positive experiences. So negative experiences are absolutely necessary for you to create sustainable success. Failure builds. Say that again. Failure builds. What does it build? It builds in 4 different ways. Failure builds character, experience, understanding, and systems. Systems is the most important when we talk about business. We'll talk about that last, of course. Let's start right off the top with failure builds character, right? You have to learn how to lose well as much as importantly as you learn how to win well. Being a good loser, and not a loser in you lose at everything in life, but being able to take any singular setback, a singular day, a singular game, a singular exchange, a singular promotion or marketing campaign, etc. It's only a failure if you stop completely. It's not a failure if you learn from that process, adapt, adjust, and move forward in a better way the next time. The ability to do that, to not lose sight of the big picture, to not lose your way in the process, to become so frustrated or even angry at the less than desirable outcomes, but instead embrace them as something that teaches you a better way to move forward. That is character. Your ability to not cut corners, to avoid situations that are less than ethical or not win-win scenarios between you and the people you do business with. All of these things are a continuation of character. You learn these by being challenged by things that don't work out as expected, by resisting the temptation to cut corners or to do anything that is not above board, or treating people the way you would want them to treat you if you were the consumer and they were the business provider, etc. These are examples of your personal character. You can't be successful in a business if the people involved do not have character, high character, the ability to understand and do things in a right way, be patient, have that attitude of gratitude, the thankfulness that we started with today. All of that comes from having character. Your character is not shaped by, but exposed by, or proven to the world, if you will, by your reactions to negative. It's easy to have great character when everything is going well. It is much harder when things are going against you, but that's where you find yourself and where you prove to yourself and to others that you can operate and eventually be successful with character, with someone who exhibits great examples of their character professionally is someone other people want to do business with, whether they want to buy from you as a consumer, they want to work with you as a collaborator, if they want to work for you as an employee, etc., as a vendor. Any of these things come from people want to work with people that they trust, that they like, and are great examples of a professional. That comes through from your character. That character is, again, exposed or proven by your ability to manage less than desirable situations. It's easy to be a good winner. It's hard to be not as good when things are not going as well. That's how you express your character. Now, again, many times I've told you today and on other podcasts that negative outcomes, unexpected setbacks, pushbacks, barriers, roadblocks, hurdles, all of these things teach you something about the process, teach you something about yourself, about your plan, your systems, your audience, your competition, etc. Anytime something doesn't work out perfectly, there are lessons to be learned there if you will pay attention to them, if you will dive into what could be done better. How can I adjust? How can my next time, because you have to do it continually, work better. You learn those lessons. You gain that experience from embracing things that don't work out as planned and utilizing the information contained within. Not simply thinking to yourself, I'm no good at this, or my team let me down, or people just don't understand, or you're not ready for what I've got to offer here. Push all of that out of your mind. Instead, embrace the experience of learning from your mistakes, of learning from the things that didn't work out as planned so that you can make the adjustments so that you can do it again better. You're driving this process because you have good character. Character and experiences are built by failures or by essentially negative outcomes. Again, not always failures, setbacks, all those things. Understanding is the third item built by negative experience. Understanding that these things do happen. Understand it's not just you. It's part of the system. A lot of people had to hear no many times before they heard yes. A lot of people had to struggle. A lot of people had to start at the bottom with 0 and work to 1, to 2, to 10 before they got to 100, before they got to 1,000, before they got to 1,000,000. Everyone starts there. Everyone comes through the same experiences with understanding. Understanding of this, how things work. Understanding how to utilize these things moving forward, understanding that experience will make you better, that the character exhibited will build upon itself. Simply having character one day is not enough. Having character every day, multiple times, over multiple months, over multiple years, with providing that insight, that experience, that understanding of how to do business, of how to be successful, of how to marshal all of these things to be more positive than negative, and to not allow those negative or unplanned outcomes push you too far back or even set you down to slow or stop. All of that comes from understanding how to utilize your experience, how to look for the positives and negatives, how to keep your character where it needs to be. All of this is understanding. These are things that are internal, that are in your head, that are in your attitude, or in your heart and your gut at the end of the day if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, etc. But ultimately, negative outcomes build systems. If you've done what we've just discussed, if you've looked into what went wrong, what you can learn from it, how can it be adjusted, how can you move forward in a better way, that is the development of systems. What we did now is the beginning of the system. What worked is something we do more of. That's a refinement of that system. What didn't work or we want to do less of in the future is a continuation of the refinement of the system. And ultimately, highly successful, highly effective, repeatable, profitable system comes from continual use, continual adjustment, continual refinement. Once you understand and build that system, once you build the mechanisms that allow you to repeat better every single time, because you're learning from your mistakes, you're learning from the negatives, you're actually being thankful for those mistakes because they're teaching moments, there are lessons embedded within each and every one of them. That system then allows you to actually mechanalize, that's not a right word, but to systemize, obviously it's a system, but to put a organization around those lessons learned, to make an ability to make those adjustments, not because you're starting over from scratch every single time, but because you're starting from the last point of experience with the new information, with the new attitude, with what came from the thing that didn't work exactly right the last time. So it's a building upon, it's a foundation and then expertise. It is systems, not guessing, starting over, throwing everything out and beginning from scratch. It is the building, the continual development of. That's why it is a system. The importance of systems when it comes to business is because systems allow you to sustain, rescue, repeat, or extend. I'm going to explain every one of those, but I'm going to say one more time. Sustain, rescue, repeat, extend. What does that mean? By Sustaining, again, you build a system that is repeatable and continually refined so that the success you start to see, which starts at a little bit of success and a lot of success and then tremendous success, can be repeated over and over again with the room to make adjustments as things change. So it is sustainable. Not singular success, repeatable success. Sustain equals repeat. Being able to do something continually because you have built mechanisms or systems underneath it allow you to sustain it and then repeat it. When you repeat it, you have sustained success. Sustained building is repeatable success. So you see how these two things work together in tandem. So sustainable systems allow for repeatable success. Repeatable success or repeatable positive outcomes is ultimate success. Don't make $1 today. Make $1 every minute, every second. Don't do something one time. Do it repeatedly or continual over and over again. Take the best parts, take the successful parts, continue to do them on a regular basis. Make the adjustments from things that aren't as positive. It is sustainable. It is repeatable. And then occasionally, 2020 is a great example of this. Occasionally, all the rules change, whether it's COVID-19, global pandemic, economy goes down, political influence, or simply something directly close to your business, losing your best employee, having a new competitor in the audience, in the market, audience attention, etc. Whatever it is, there are always going to be changes where your best sustainable, repeatable system isn't working. Typically, it's a slower process. Occasionally, something like COVID-19 happens and everything needs to change overnight. That's when you need to rescue your business. This is not typical, but it does happen. The ability to go back to your system, look at what is involved, look what that is built to that point and what can be changed due to the new factors because it's a rescue situation and not an adjustment. But again, you're not starting from scratch. You're simply starting from the place where you've built all of this experience, input, etc. So rescuing your business when something major happens, whether it's directly to you within your industry or the entire planet, is much easier if you have a system in place. You're not starting from scratch. You're simply starting from the last place that was viable. So that helps you move forward. And then the last piece of this is something people don't talk about enough. When you build a successful system, thus you build success for yourself, you build profitability, you build the way to make your business successful, which makes you successful, which creates success for the people in and around you, you get to extend that success to others. Now, you extend it directly or indirectly. You extend it directly by employing people, by having business partners or people that you bring to your level or you bring to collectively bring up with sustained success. There are people who work for you and with you, whether they're directly employees or contract work or vendors or suppliers or people who just simply get value out of doing business with you. The economy itself, your local economy, your state economy, the national economy, the world economy, creating solutions and systems, products and services that provide value, that ease someone else's pain, if you will, or allow a solution to someone else's problem. All of this allows you to extend your success to others, to create a rising tide that lifts all boats, directly and indirectly. So people you do business with, people that you employ, vendors, and the ability that's direct ways that you can influence others, that you can extend your success. You can also teach other people, whether it's writing blogs, writing manuals, creating courses, a podcast like this, or the podcast, my business podcast, the Golden Group Neo Marketing podcast, other ways of teaching, showing, giving examples of how other people, I did it, you can do it too, can learn from, or that you can teach. These are direct and indirect ways, and ultimately the most indirect but still viable way of bringing your success to other people is by simply being an example. For someone else to say, that person started with nothing and were successful, or that person had an idea similar to the idea I have, or that person has a similar background, comes from a similar place, looks the same way, whatever it is, if you could be an example for someone else, you can indirectly extend your success as well, directly through working with people, doing business with them, also creating opportunities within. If your business is building airplanes, all of your vendors, all your subcontractors, people that benefit from airplanes being in the world, even people who sell the fuel, people who sell parts, people who work on airplanes as mechanics or as pilots or as flight attendants or as other individuals who are important in that aspect, all of that comes together to build success. Ultimately, you also can mentor the people that work for you, the people that work with you, the people that you have direct contact with, or simply from afar by doing something like a podcast or some other visible way for people to be influenced by your success. So these are all the things. And then ultimately, the last thing I kind of alluded to earlier when we talked about pushback, setback, and unanswered prayers. I got to make sure I get this in before I wrap this up today. Most businesses at the height of their success don't actually look exactly like they started on paper when someone had an idea to launch a business. There are a lot of changes, a lot of adjustments, sometimes full pivots. These things happen following the opportunity, creating new opportunities for yourself, adjusting. All of that comes from paying attention to the setbacks, to the negative influence, etc. Embracing it will allow your business to ultimately follow the path to opportunity, the path to success. You end up in a place that's different where you started because often it's unanswered prayers. You really wanted this to work. But by not being solely focused and tied into that, but by going in another way in the direction that opportunity allows you to, by making the adjustments that the real world thrust upon you, learning your lessons from your setbacks, embracing the negatives, and rolling that all into a system that allows you to move forward, whether it's regularly, continually sustainable, or needs to be rescued because of a major change, or simply because there's a new opportunity in front of you. All of this comes from the system. The system comes from paying attention to negatives and positive outcomes. All of that comes from the attitude of gratitude, from being thankful for what you have, your ability to do more, and understanding that simple losses, singular outcomes, negative feedback isn't the end of the world. It's simply a starting place to learn how to do it better the next time. That's how that works. The more that you give back, whether directly providing value for your consumers, for the employees and the partners that you work with, your contractors, your subcontractors, your people in your industry, the people in your community, the more that you can give back to them directly, economics, indirectly with influence or motivation or mentoring, all of those things bring more to you. You can create a snowball of success, repeatable, sustainable success by understanding how you built your success, by extending it to other people, and then continue to give as much as you can. And eventually those things come back to you again if you have the right attitude, if you are thankful and you have gratitude for every experience that comes your way, from every aspect of input, from everything good, bad, and other that comes along with building, running, managing, sustaining a business. You become a part of the economy and you are extending your success to others. What could be better than that? In my opinion, the more you give, the more you get back. So build for yourself, extend, add to others, give, and it comes back to you. Give and you get. So ultimately, effort and attitude. We talk about all the time. The two things you can control are effort and attitude. You can put how much work you want to put in, the attitude you have about doing it. The extension upon that, the third item is gratitude. By being thankful for everything that happens to you, positive and negative, by having gratitude for it, for being, again, thankful 2 days after Thanksgiving and 10 days after Thanksgiving and 300 days after Thanksgiving allows you to embrace all positive and negative experiences and roll that back into, combine it with your attitude and your effort. If you can do those three things, the three things you could control, if you could keep them on the right track, if you can keep them in the positive track, if you can keep them moving in the right way, sustainably, success is nearly guaranteed. There you go, folks. That's the lesson today. So make sure each and every Saturday you're tuning into the Saturday Morning Hustle, listening on the Anchor app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Podchaser, YouTube, anywhere you find great podcasts. Stream and subscribe. Please leave a comment and a review. We would appreciate it very much. Also share with a friend. Tell someone who might be looking for some motivation today, who might be in that Thanksgiving spirit and want to embrace it more, or maybe they're not in the Thanksgiving spirit and they really need to get there the same way you are. Share this information with a friend. Share this podcast with the people that you converse with personally, on social media, in business, etc. Make sure you get yourself some of this Saturday Morning Hustle swag too. We got a small business Saturday sale going on today. There's a special code. Check it out on social media for the code, and look for some stuff on Cyber Monday as well. The sweatshirts, the hats, the t-shirts, Saturday Morning Hustle, Entrepreneur AF, and coffee and donuts. It's all there, and it's all on sale this weekend because of all the great shopping going on post-Thanksgiving, right before Christmas. Great Christmas gifts for that entrepreneur in your life. Make sure you follow on social media, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and, of course, the new Facebook page. Saturday Morning Hustle has its own Facebook page, separate than my personal Facebook page. Never miss an episode. There's going to be a new episode coming very soon, early at the end of this month, at the end of November. Last Monday will be a new episode, bonus episode of the Balance series. Make sure you check that out as well. If you subscribe, you don't have to worry about that at all. And any past episode, all posts, all updates, all social media, all swag is at SaturdayMorningHustle.com. If you're not sure, you can always find SaturdayMorningHustle.com. It's a small business Saturday. I'm in the office. This is the Saturday Morning Hustle. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you next week.
Saturday Morning Hustle. Saturday